This time, you may call the next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would call Detective Richard Guzman.
You can please be and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly state the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat in the witness stand. And for the record, say and spell your first and last name. Please adjust the microphone so we can hear you.
Richard, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, Guzman, G-U-Z-M-A-N.
Hit that microphone, make sure it's on.
1 2 1 2.
Good enough. Thanks. Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, are you currently retired?
I am.
And where are you retired from?
From the Los Angeles Police Department.
And how many years were you employed by the LAPD?
Just short of 28 years.
Okay. What year did you retire?
January of 2021.
Okay. And where were you assigned prior to your retirement?
Robbery Homicide Division, Special Investigations Section.
What is the Special Investigations Section, or SIS?
It's a surveillance unit that's available to any entity on the police department. We assist investigators by making connections in their cases. Sometimes they need a little help connecting people to other people, people to locations, people to cars. We do kidnap for ransoms and those sort of things.
Okay. And how many years were you assigned to SIS, or the Special Investigations Section?
Just under 14 years.
Approximately how many personnel were assigned to SIS back in 2017?
It would have been 20.
And given that you work in an undercover capacity, do you guys, did you use unmarked vehicles
Yes, unmarked vehicles.
and dress in plain clothes, unlike, not a suit, I'm assuming?
Yes, we try to blend into the environment, whatever people are wearing for that area.
Jeans, things of that nature?
Jeans are common because they're everywhere.
I want to direct your attention to Thursday, March 9th, 2017. Were you part of a surveillance operation that went on that day?
Yes, I was.
And were you briefed on March 9th about 2 o'clock by a detective from SIS, Detective
I was.
Rowe?
Yes.
And were you briefed regarding a surveillance operation that was going to take place regarding 2 targets
Yes.
to locate and follow?
Yes.
And one of those targets, was that a female by the name of Monica Sementilli?
Yes.
Do you see her here in court today?
I do.
Can you identify her, please?
She's seated over at the defense table wearing like a light colored jacket, maybe a brown shirt.
Does she look much different today than she did back in 2017?
Facially, she's recognizable. Maybe the hair's a little longer.
Okay. And were you also briefed on a second target by the name of Robert Baker?
Yes.
Were you also given residence locations?
Yes.
Was one of those residence locations both in Woodland Hills, one at 5012 Queen Victoria,
Yes.
and the other at, I think it was 6817 Independence,
That's correct.
an apartment building?
It is an apartment building, yes.
And were you also given vehicle descriptions?
Yes, I was.
One for the defendant being a black Ford F-150 truck,
Yes.
the other being a black Ford Expedition.
Yes.
Were you also provided with photographs of
Yes.
individuals, their residences, and their vehicles?
A photograph of each of the individuals. I don't recall if we got residence photos or vehicle photos. Probably did not.
You typically would look those types of things up?
Yeah, I mean, if it's an unusual car, I would just Google it.
No, I'm talking about the residence.
Yeah, you could look up in Google Street View and see the residence.
Trinity has been previously marked as People's 14. Do you recognize the individual you see here?
Yeah, that's Robert Baker.
And showing you People's 142. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, that's his vehicle, the 2000 Ford Expedition.
And were you told that this D584 GO was the license plate of that vehicle at the time?
Yes.
And were you also shown a photograph of this vehicle that you see here in People's 141?
I don't know that I was shown a photo before the surveillance began.
Okay. And during your surveillance operation, did you observe this particular vehicle, the Ford F-150, belonging to the defendant?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you also go to, during your surveillance operation, Baker's apartment at 6817 Independence Avenue in Canoga Park?
We did end up there, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, if I could have a photograph of the exterior of that building and the interior parking garage marked as People's 188.
Yes.
Thank you. Showing you People's 188. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, that's the front of 6817 Independence Avenue.
On the left?
On the left, which would be the south side of the building, that's the entry to the underground parking.
Thank you. All right. Was there a number of personnel from SIS involved in this operation that took place on March 9th of 2017?
Yes, and on March 9th, everybody was working by themselves, so everyone was solo.
So everyone was in a separate vehicle?
Yes.
And how do the members of SIS communicate while you're on a surveillance operation?
The primary way would be via radio, primarily the one installed in your car, or if you're out on foot, you have what's called a footman radio, which is a fancy way of saying a handheld radio that has a very limited range. Or we could communicate by cell phone, text, as a backup as well.
Do you often have individuals in the unit take photographs?
Yes.
And those tend to be cell phone photographs or cell phone video as well?
A lot of them end up being that way just because they're spontaneous and that's what's on hand, but
Yeah.
we do have cameras if we're prepared to take photos, but if we just arrive at a location, it's hard to get the camera out that quick.
Did you locate Robert Baker that day on March 9th at approximately 4:40 in the afternoon?
Yes, I did.
And where was that?
He was driving westbound on the 101 freeway, right around at Haskell.
And at that time, was he driving the black Ford F-150 that we looked at in the photographs in People's 142?
That's correct.
And at that point in time, did you follow him somewhere?
Yes.
Where was that?
Well, he made 3 stops before eventually ending up at his residence at 6817 Independence. I didn't have eyes on him the whole time. The way a surveillance works is it rotates around. You follow him for a short distance, hand it off to the next person.
Very similar to how G&D works?
Yes.
Where you have point persons?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you said he went back to his apartment, pulled into the underground garage?
Yes.
Okay. At about 7:10 that same night, did you observe Baker somewhere near his apartment?
Yeah, he walked out onto the sidewalk from the apartment building.
And where did he go?
He was on the west sidewalk on Independence because his house is, our apartment is on the west side. He walked southbound. He was texting on a cell phone, like what we call a candy bar style phone, all screen, no physical keyboard.
Like a smartphone?
Like a smartphone.
As opposed to a flip phone?
Yeah, it was not a flip phone.
Okay.
He was carrying 2 shopping bags, one of which I remember being Quicksilver.
Okay. And did you see where he walked to?
He walked south to the corner, which is at Van Owen, and after a couple minutes, he ended up crossing over to the east side of the street where that gas station was.
A petrol gas station?
I don't recall the name, but that sounds right.
Okay. And that's at you said at the corner, so that would have been Van Owen and Independence?
Yeah, that's the northeast corner.
Okay. And was that a gas station that was well lit?
It was, yes.
All right. And could you tell what he was wearing at that time?
He had like a dark leather jacket and dark pants.
Okay. At some point, did you see him remove his jacket?
Yes.
And what was he wearing underneath?
Like a gray T-shirt. It was short sleeve, but the sleeves were kind of long that hung to his elbows.
Okay. And where were you at that point in time when you were making these observations?
I was parked on Independence, but I was south of Van Owen, like parked at the east curb looking north. So I could see his apartment building and I could also see that gas station.
So approximately how far is this gas station from the apartment building?
Maybe half a block, and a short block, maybe 100 feet,
Okay.
150 feet maybe.
And how far away were you from Baker at the time you made these observations? Approximately.
Approximately 75 feet.
Okay. And did you observe someone arrive at that location about 10 minutes later, somewhere around 7:20?
Yes.
And who was that?
That was Miss Sementilli in the 2013 Ford F-150.
Okay. The same vehicle that we looked at in Exhibit 141?
Yes.
Okay. And was she alone?
She was by herself, yes.
Okay. And what did you see her do as she was driving her vehicle to that location?
Well, she got out and greeted Mr. Baker. They ended up walking around to the passenger side of the pickup truck. So
Baker's or hers?
hers, the Ford F-150.
The vehicle she was driving?
Yes, it's parked in the lot facing north, so I'm seeing the back end of their car.
Okay.
They're conversing at the passenger side of that. He hugs her, grabs her butt with his, I think it was his left hand. He ends up giving her the bags of clothing. She was taking items of clothing out. Looks like she was looking at him like as if, I don't know, shopping or whatever, but like you would look at clothes to try on yourself maybe.
Okay. And did she, so she was looking at the clothing, taking them out of the bag on the passenger side?
She did take I don't know how many items of clothing, but she took at least a few.
Okay. And what else were they doing at that location?
It looked like they were talking, and there was obviously that hugging and stuff, and eventually they got in the car and drove away.
Okay. Did you see them also kissing?
Yes.
Okay. And what was she wearing?
She was wearing like a light color,
So a room.
like a light colored dress. I don't remember like the pattern or the color.
Okay. And approximately how many minutes were you observing the two of them for as she was going through the clothing and the bags?
Well, together, less than 10 minutes.
Okay. When they drove away, did you see where the defendant got into the vehicle?
She got into the right rear seat. It was the F-150 is one of those crew cabs or four-door pickups, so she's not seated right behind the driver, but to the right of that in the back seat.
Okay. And Baker got in then to the driver's seat?
Yes.
Did you see where they drove to?
Yeah, they just drove out and they drove south on Independence Crossing to the south side of Van Owen. And on that would be the southwest corner, there's a very big parking lot. I don't know what that's to. They drove into that parking lot and drove to the south of that
So basically across the street?
lot. Diagonally across the street, yes.
And was this a parking lot that was also well lit or not so?
That was not well lit.
Okay. It's sort of a big open lot?
A very big open lot, yes.
Okay, Your Honor, I have a photograph of the corner of Van Owen and Independence, I believe it is, at 21010 Van Owen. May it be marked as People's 189? Thank you. Showing you Exhibit 189. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, I do.
And what does this depict?
And that's the lot that I saw them forward to when Mr. Baker was driving. The Sementilli was in the back seat.
Okay. And looking at the location where there is a red marker with an arrow, is that the gas station that you initially made your observations at?
That's the gas station, yes.
And then you said the defendant got into the back seat and Baker drove over to this this parking lot area?
That's correct. Where that red blob is, the car was further up on the screen and a little to the left. But yeah, that's the whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Baker drove into this area, into this parking lot, did he park somewhere?
Yeah, it's very towards the south end. I don't know if he was all the way at the end, but nearly so if he wasn't.
Okay. And what did you see, if anything, happen at that location?
I couldn't see anything going on in the car. I know they just stayed in the car, but at that point, Detective David Frederick, that's Fredrich, he put out over the radio that he could see what was going on. So at that point, although I could see him in my rearview mirror, I couldn't see any details, so I let David Frederick call it at that point.
Okay, so you passed off the targets to him at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, did he begin making observations and calling out?
Yes.
Observations, yes. Calling out, no.
Did he call out what he was observing?
Something to the effect they were kissing or making out in the car.
All right, so you were not in a position to be able to see what they were doing at that point, correct?
No.
At some point, did you follow them to another location?
Yes.
And where was that?
It's the Goodnight Bar on Burbank Boulevard.
Okay. Is that located at 10721 Burbank?
That's correct.
All right, and approximately what time did they arrive at that location? Approximately.
Maybe close to 8 o'clock. I'm not sure the exact time, but that's fairly close.
And did you see them enter the location?
Yes, and leave the location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see them, what time they exited, approximately?
They weren't there very long, but I don't remember exactly how long they were there.
Okay. And what observations did you make, if any, when they left the location?
I can't remember now if it was when going in or coming out or both, but holding hands.
Okay. And were you in a position where you were watching the location?
I could see the front of the location, yes.
Your Honor, I have two exterior photographs of this location, may it be marked as Peoples 190,
Yes.
showing you Peoples 190. Do you recognize what you see here?
Yeah, that's a location that they went in and out of.
Okay. And you said this is in, this was on Burbank Boulevard. Is this in the North Hollywood area?
Yeah, I think that's North Hollywood. I'm not that good with the valley where it breaks up, but yeah, I believe that's correct.
Okay. And at some point, did you follow them to another location?
Yes.
And where was that?
Objection, at this point, relevance and cumulative.
Overruled.
They went to the Laugh Factory. I think it's 8001 Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood area.
Your Honor, I have a photograph of the exterior and interior of this location, if it could be marked as Peoples 191, please.
Yes.
Did you set up at the perimeter?
Yeah, I didn't have eyes on the location, but I was covering what we call the winds, or you set up covering a route that they may take east, west, north, south.
Okay.
I don't know which.
In order to be in a position to follow?
Yes.
Okay. Showing you Exhibit 191, is this the location of the Laugh Factory on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles?
So that is the Laugh Factory that they went to.
Okay. And did you stay at this location until the end of your watch that night?
Yeah, I think we stayed until approximately 10 p.m.
Okay. And they did not leave before that time, correct?
No, we left them there.
Okay. On the date of June 14th of 2017, were you asked to be a part of, again, a surveillance operation that was going to end in the arrest of these two targets?
Yes.
Okay. By Robbery Homicide Division detectives?
Yes.
So at about 1:20 in the afternoon, did you observe Robert Baker somewhere?
Yeah, he arrived at the Queen Victoria address in the in Miss Sementilli's black Ford Mustang.
Okay. Is that a new vehicle at this point in time?
New to us, yes.
You hadn't seen it before. You had been advised or informed about the black Ford F-150.
Yeah.
The prosecutor is testifying, and this is all reading.
It was a compound question. Sustain on that ground. Overruled on others.
You indicated you had previously been informed of the black Ford F-150 that we looked at in the other photographs, right?
Yes.
But not Ford Mustang?
No, on the March 9th, I had no knowledge of this Mustang.
Okay, showing you People's 64. Is this, these photographs that we see in People's 64 depict the vehicle that you saw Baker driving over to the defendant's home on Queen Victoria?
Yes.
And did you see where Baker pulled in?
Just saw him drive onto the property and out of my view. I can't see when he's on the property what's happening.
When you say on the property, into the driveway area?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall exactly how it was, but I think I'm parked south of location looking north, so I'm only seeing things that drive in and out, but I can't see what's happening on the property.
And a few minutes later, did you see the Ford Mustang drive away from the Queen Victoria location?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see whether or not the defendant was in the passenger seat at that point?
I couldn't see that.
Okay. Were you informed that Baker had picked up the defendant and that she was now in the front passenger by another member of the team?
Yes.
Overruled.
And then did you follow them to the location of a traffic stop by Robbery Homicide Division detectives around 1:30?
I did. I didn't see the stop. I was hearing the traffic on the radio.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
That's my cross.
Thank you.
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
Former detective, retired detective.
Thank you.
Detective Guzman, the observations you testified to earlier, they were all recorded on video on March 9, correct?
I'm only aware of the gas station activity being recorded on video.
That was the activity that you personally observed, correct?
Yes, from a different angle, that video matches up what I saw, yes.
And in fact, you testified before a grand jury about the observations you made in the petrol gas station parking lot on March 9?
Yes, I don't know if I knew that it was a petrol gas station, but it was a gas station.
Fair enough.
No.
And at the grand jury, Ms. Silverman actually showed you a video that depicted accurately the events that you observed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on March 9, 2017, which I guess now is about 8 years ago, you observed Robert Baker carrying shopping bags, 2 shopping bags across the parking lot entrance, is that correct?
From his apartment south and then crossing over to the gas station, yes.
Okay. And I think you testified earlier that at least one of those shopping bags you identified with something, store name Quicksilver on it?
And it was Quicksilver. I don't know if I read the name or recognized the logo, but it was Quicksilver.
Fair enough. Showing you what will be marked as,
Let's start with that first.
Please, yes.
What is it you wish to
Your
have
Honor.
marked?
please, if I may, as Defense 618, I think is next in order.
It is next. What is it, please?
It is a 5-page document of gas station surveillance camera stills from a video from March 9, 2017, beginning at 7/19/49.
So marked.
Thank you. Showing you page 1 of Defense 618. Do you recognize that, Detective Guzman?
That was the approximate angle that the surveillance video I was shown was, where they met, where Mr. Baker and Ms. Sementilli met.
Okay. And when you described earlier seeing Ms. Sementilli in the Ford 150 truck, do you see the truck in this screen capture?
I'm assuming this is the same video that I saw, but it's kind of grainy, but that looks like where the truck is parked. I just can't identify that truck and say that's one of any trucks. Yeah.
Understood. And showing you, if I think you have a pointer there.
Yes.
Okay. If you could show us, when you described seeing Mr. Baker walking across the parking lot and towards the truck, with those bags. Do you see him there?
Yes.
Okay, can you
I
point
see,
him?
I see it better on my monitor, but I do see it better.
Okay, can you point him out?
I can't even tell if that's him or her at this point, but.
Okay,
Yeah,
but you see someone walking towards the truck with bags?
yes.
And when you described the bags earlier, the one you say was Quicksilver, that's the light colored bag?
I don't know which of the bags.
Okay.
There was 2 bags and one was Quicksilver.
No problem. Showing you page 2 of the exhibit 618. You testified earlier that you observed Miss Sementilli get out of the driver's side of the truck and walk around towards the passenger side where she met Mr. Baker?
Yeah, I do. I don't remember if she walked in front of the truck or behind, but I think it would have been behind.
And they met up, and she started removing clothes from the bags that he had brought her?
Removing them and holding them up to her as if trying them on for size, kind of like, imagine what they look like on her.
Okay. And she then pulled out different items from the bags?
I don't know if it was all of them, but at least a couple of items. It may have been more, but that's what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
And showing you page 2 of 618, does this accurately represent a portion of what you observed yourself?
That looks like it would be taken from the video, a still of the video, yes.
Okay. And showing you page 3, another shot from 7/21/24. It appears Ms. Sementilli is holding up some kind of dress with Mr. Baker.
I can't even tell what she's doing from this. It's too grainy for me to really see what she's doing, but that's what she did that day, so that's probably what this is.
Okay. And it looks like some kind of item of clothing she's holding up.
I can't tell what she's holding it from this still. It's too grainy for me.
Okay. And then you described that you subsequently saw Ms. Sementilli get in the back passenger seat of the truck, correct?
Yes.
And showing you page 5, I realize it's very grainy. You sort of see
I see her arm on the door as if to get in the car. Is that what you're saying? Yes.
yes, and that's the back passenger seat you described earlier that you saw Ms. Sementilli enter, correct?
Yes.
And then you saw Mr. Baker driving Ms. Sementilli's truck away?
Yes.
And that evening, you then did a handoff at that point to your partner who observed the subsequent events in the second parking lot, is that correct?
Yes, although I had a distant view from my side mirror, I could just tell they were in the car and didn't get out, but I couldn't see what was going on. He was a lot closer and could make better observations.
And in the course of your surveillance, I believe you testified earlier, and I just want to make sure, there were other times that you located the F-150 being driven by Mr. Baker?
I don't know that I testified to that, but I believe that night he was driving the F-150 to each location. To the best of my knowledge, I wasn't watching or have eyes on the whole time, and somebody may have put out that she was driving, but I don't remember that happening.
Okay. But on June 14th, when you were conducting surveillance, you did observe Mr. Baker alone driving a Mustang that was identified as belonging to Ms. Sementilli, correct?
Yes, and previously I was talking about the F-150, but yes, on the June 14th, Mr. Baker was driving the Mustang.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Nothing further.
Anything further by the people?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Detective Guzman. You are excused.
Thank you.
You may call the next witness.
Thank you. Group will call Detective Corbin Road.